Hi, I'm Morgan, otherwise known as Master Moj,
Hi, I'm Joey, also known as Clooney the Mad.
and this is the us recording posthumously for the
Post game.
post-game analysis for the Sniper Cup VST finals from a couple weeks ago. Um, so we just want to give us some commentary to go along with this video.
And maybe a little bit of insight.
It's just some of the batshit crazy stuff we were doing.
Yes.
So I think I won initiative on this one, didn't I? And so I chose the blue side. I'm running Smuggler Box with Han, Cassian, Hera, Jin, MHD, Gideon, Chopper, C3PO, and Rebel High Command.
Yep, and I'm over on the left side. I am running a nice Imperial list. I have Iden Versio, two sets of elite E-Web engineers, two sets of elite Death Troopers, one Director Krennic, and an officer, along with upgrades being Zillow, Rule by Fear, and Heavy Fire.
I'm BT as well, right?
Oh yes, and BT. Yep, that would do it. Yep, and BT. You see, if you've been watching Noah's other stuff, you've noticed that we played each other in round 3 on this map. Just different scenario.
Yeah, that was the other one was the other side. This one is Krykna Infestation, which we both is not our favorite scenario at all by any means.
We both hate it because the map is miserable.
For sure. But that didn't stop us from having a great time.
Yep, yep.
All right. So, after winning initiative, both, you'll see a bunch of my figures moving from Hera's smooth landing and from Cassian's ability, for what it's called. But basically got to move guys out of the deployment zone and give damage tokens to.
Yep, the E-Webs basically they get to move up to their speed at the start of the match so that they can kind of get into place a little bit better. I was just trying to move them out so that they, get into sightline positions to shoot things.
Yeah. All right. And you got to draw 5 cards. And you had a
Yep,
really
and luckily I drew the one card that I wanted to drop, which was the droid card that you can redraw.
for sure. So I think I went first with MHD and shot at the Krykna because why not? Ended up doing a total of 1 damage.
Yep, I go with Krennic so that I can shoot the Krykna and hopefully get some range, but alas, not. I put him there because that's kind of a central position that can use his ability on all of the troopers later on.
And I just moved up with 3PO to just give a focus to Cassian.
Death Trooper moving up to give some tokens to the E-Web for later use.
And then Gideon giving Hera some movement so that he could see Han and giving a focus to Han.
I'm going with the E-Web and I'm shoosting the Krykna using the damage ability from Director Krennic to double those tokens.
Because you can just recover those regardless.
Yep, because E-Webs they have a surge for Recover 2.
For sure.
Whoops.
Now, with Hera, I went next and played planning to draw some more cards, and also got to shoot at the nearest Krykna, which you can't see a ton of at the bottom of the screen, and rolled no surges, so did like another 2 damage. So 2 attacks, and that Krykna is at 3.
I went with the Death Trooper, gave Iden a damage token, probably because, if I remember correctly, I'm holding Call the Vanguard, so it's like, oh, maybe I'll be able to get Call the Vanguard off.
Yeah.
That would be a neat trick.
Oh, and you shot at the red Krykna.
And then he shot the Krykna.
Yeah, and then I went with casting and ruined those hopes and
Yep,
dreams.
oh look, there is Call of the Vanguard.
Yeah, that's how it went the first game, too. I pitched that one.
Yep.
And I think this ended up doing it. I ended up using Hera's Call the Shots ability to give him the surge necessary to give him some more damage tokens. I didn't quite have enough to finish the Krykna without it.
Yep, and here I am shooting the top right Krykna, the green Krykna, to hopefully get it, but the roll was not great, and then we re-roll into the same thing because #why bother? Then we have Dio shooting. He wasn't intending to do any damage. I just wanted to redraw the command card, but he couldn't roll a surge. That's going to be a theme for it when I'm trying to roll surges. I just won't get them.
Oh yeah, that was lots of fun. So,
and the reason why I went with Iden here as opposed... I haven't even gone with the officer because I wanted to move BT into the same spot so that BT could also shoot the Krykna.
Next, I'm going with Jin. I actually rolled well this time. And I was trying to get set up so that I could get my smugglers to take shots while still staying sort of safe around C-3PO. And then your planning comes out. Was that your officer?
Yes, my officer's finally going because Iden got out of the way so I can push what's-his-face up.
And then I negated your planning because I didn't want the Imperial player to have more cards.
And probably because you also probably know that I wasn't running Take Initiative since we played each other already.
Yes. This is where I run up with Han and open the door.
Right, and here's where I do the missile barrage, because I know that you wouldn't run up like that unless you had defensive cards, which I was right. So I was doing missile barrage so that I could maybe ping some damage and then also recover some with some surges.
So, Missile Barrage, you decided to go red-green, and I played Run for Cover, which let me remove one of your attack dice. So I removed the green, so it was impossible for you to make range.
Yep.
I also did have Lamb at this point. But
got it.
Which is why I was so reckless with Han. This looks like
return shot.
End of round. Oh, you returned fire. That's right, because BT shot at Han and Han got to shoot back. Rerolled into the same thing, looking like I was dealing 5 damage. Yeah, 5 damage.
Yep. Then more shots trying to recover some health, but instead just doing damage.
Right. At the Kryknas, and a couple of those.
Yep.
And then you had your E-Web to move up, just a double move to block line of sight. So
yep. Block line of sight and block the Krykna from whapping 2 people.
Right. So when moving the Krykna, I think I got the first one. And I wanted to move that red Krykna so that it went after your E-Web instead of after Han. And then you went next to move the green Krykna closer to you.
Yep. Which was a mistake. I should have moved the one that was in your middle hall.
Yeah.
Actually, shouldn't it have gone and hit someone?
You know what? I think right now it's actually in the wrong spot.
I think it moves one more to hit.
It moves one more to hit. C-3PO.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes. So I moved it so that because I had a choice between hitting 3PO or hitting Han, and I wanted it there so it would block some line of sight.
Yep.
And also I was happy with it dealing damage to 3PO as opposed to Han. I
Yep.
absolutely totally forgot about your heavy fire ability. Um,
Was it the heavy fire ability that you forgot about, or the fact that I was holding collateral damage?
I didn't know you were holding collateral.
Since you
Oh
saw
yes,
collateral
I did see
damage.
collateral damage. Yes, I forgot about that too. I forgot about a lot of things. There are a lot of mistakes I made this game.
There were lots of mistakes on both sides with this one.
Yeah. So this is the finals. Obviously, like we neither one of us were particularly happy with our games. I don't think, um, but we made it to the finals, and that was the important thing.
Yep, and we were having a good time on this miserable map, which I would like to think that I am at a disadvantage on, since there's this nice wonky sightline blocking with my large E-webs that can't really get shots that well.
And I can't really shoot crickets very well, as we'll as we'll see continuing on. And then you ended up moving the last Krikna a little bit closer. Um, why did I have to pitch a card?
Um,
Oh, I
didn't you
I
use
played.
it?
Yes, I did. Yes, I played it. Okay, so I used tools for the job, shot at the E-web for my end of round Han shot. Added a red, rerolled the green, I think, and got better.
For the perfect reroll.
The perfect reroll ended up doing hefty 5 damage, which is one too close. Hera's just a little bit too far away, so I couldn't get her to add. Oh, it was end of round anyway. She couldn't use her thing. But I'm sitting here with Han. I've done a lot of damage, which I'm happy about.
Yep. Start of round, I have initiative, and I know that shooting Han would be a terrible idea with the 1 health E-web, so I decided to take out one of the Kriknas first and hopefully recover. It's like, that's not the right dice pool.
Yeah. And you did get a surge.
Yep. Actually, that's enough to kill it and surge for recover right there,
Indeed.
which was nice.
And then your second attack. And here's where I land. Now, when I originally played it, I thought that I could find a spot where I could see you, but you couldn't see me. So when I initially played it, I was like, "Ha! The spot that I'm going to, it's a good spot. I can get a return fire, and what's more, you won't be able to recover any of your stuff." I found out that that wasn't the case after I looked at the line of sight, and so my next plan was to get next to 3PO so that I would negate some of your surges while still being able to return fire. So it was important for
Yep.
me it was more important for me to get the shot back at you than it was to get out of cover completely.
Yep, and with you bringing Han next to C-3PO, that gave me the chance to both heavy fire and collateral damage. So we're going to see a nice dead 3PO here.
And I dodged anyway. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You wouldn't even have been able to make range
Nope.
with that.
But luckily, you don't need range for the aforementioned cards.
Indeed. Collateral damage ended up killing 3PO, which meant I couldn't box up nearly as well as I wanted to. And here is where I got to. Oh, and you also used heavy fire here to do.
Yes, because to do 1 damage to, I think I did 1 to the Krikna and 1 to Han as well.
Yeah.
Because I figured Han's probably going to kill that E-web anyway, so might as well use the upgrade to put some damage onto his heavy hitter.
Sure. And here's my return fire shot. It's more than enough to kill him. And so we end up with a 7-6 back in the game. My list not so good at taking out Krykna, so I was trying to get as many kill points as I could to keep up. And then I activated Han and went to try to finish off BT. In this case, I think, again, one short.
Because Zillow technique is the best.
Yeah, Zillow technique helped you out there for sure. So BT gets to roll his.
I was doing missile salvo here again. Was I trying to recover? I debated playing this overwhelming impact because on the Krykna it would just allow me to kill the Krykna, but I wouldn't get that extra surge or that extra damage. So it's like I don't remember if we finished, if I actually played it or not.
We took that back because you realize that if there's no actual defense dice, you don't add anything.
Get the damage surge.
Yeah, you would negate the 2 block there, but that's it. You wouldn't get any bonuses, and you wanted the bonuses for redrawing your card and recovering, I think, right?
Yep. What I should have done there instead of doing the missile salvo, I was hoping to be able to kill the Krykna and then also hit Han and the other Krykna. But ultimately, that wasn't what happened. I should have just done the pain bow, which, when you play BT, you should almost exclusively use the pain bow.
Unless you've got Afra. I can see an argument.
Yeah.
All right, so here's your first shot at the red Krykna, right?
Yep. At the one next to Han, we take that back, so I just recover one there, I believe, or do I redraw the card? I redrew the card, and then I use it here. No, I just picked it back up. I didn't recover. I picked up the card because I wanted the block, and then I go to re-roll to try and get the Pierce 2 or the recover, which didn't happen, so massive waste there. And just overall a really sad BT activation.
Yeah. So didn't kill either Krykna or get to redraw your card more than once, or recover anyway. Yeah.
Or even recover.
Yeah.
So
2 dice figures.
Always use the pain bow.
Yeah.
Always.
2 dice, definitely not good against the Krykna. Now I'm activating Chopper, who up until recently, I think first round I shocked the Death Trooper, and I think I just shocked him a second time. And now he's trying to do some damage to the Krykna using his Ram ability.
No, you decide to push someone.
Right. I debated who I was going to push. I pushed MHD a little bit. And I can't quite remember why I did that. Maybe it was so that he could get a shot and recover. Here's your.
I go with the Death Trooper here. Yeah, just to take out the Krykna, because you got to get those points
for sure. And you're range 6.
I thought I was shooting the green Krykna.
Oh, green Krykna, right? Yeah.
Was I not? Yeah,
yes. There
we go.
Yeah.
Although Death Troopers can make range 6 decently well. That yellow's the only side that wouldn't let me get the +2 accuracy Pierce 1.
Right.
To get the accuracy.
Right. So now here's Hera. Spend her damage token to try to kill that Krykna that Joey put in my deployment zone. Very annoying.
And the reason I put the Kryknas in the deployment zone is to put pressure and get damage on him, since I know that his list isn't great at killing Kryknas, and he's not putting any in mine because my list is really good at it with the E-webs.
For sure. and ended up rolling actually really well, dealing 5 damage to that Krykna.
All right, then we go with Krennic, who gave himself a token to take out that Krykna, netting me 1 more Krykna.
Indeed, and taking away that line of sight blocker for Han.
Yep. So you don't have C-3PO anymore. You don't have
Lamb.
You don't have defensive card. Well, I think you're out of defensive cards at this point.
I don't think I had MHD's card at this point. I remember I didn't draw it until like end of the game. So yeah, I am entirely out of defensive cards. That's my only other card. Only other defensive card is MHD's card, and it is not in my hand right now. I was able to go with Jin, and I was hoping to get a stun off on Iden so she couldn't come up and deal a bunch of damage to Han.
And I had a block token, so naturally I spend it.
I was able to get the stun with some like 3 damage there.
Yep.
And then I left her there so that I could get another attack off Hair Trigger. But I forgot about the officer.
And the E-Web. Just moving that up so I can actually bring its full gun to bear. So this was... You definitely should have moved her back, but hindsight.
For sure. So this was Cassian. I wanted to leave her out there. Yeah, that's why I left her out there, so that Cassian could get a sniper shot.
That's right.
Onto Iden. Using Jin's line of sight. Basically let him shoot a piercing 2 shot from far away, not having line of sight.
And I think I'd already used Zillow on Jin's shot because I'm like, oh, you don't have Pierce anywhere else in your list, but you've got that card.
I did have that card, so I ended up doing 5 more. And now, yeah, that's right. You brought the Death Trooper up.
Yep, I go with the Death Trooper so I can block all the line of sight. I was just hoping at this point that you didn't have Marksman, which lets you ignore line of sight.
Which I did not.
So yeah, we get 3 off of that, and then I give the E-Web tokens, and immediately go with it using the tactical comms from the Death Trooper so that there's no way to save the Jin. Especially with a roll like that.
Indeed. And Gideon moved...
yes, Gideon shooting the Krykna.
Yes. So Gideon moved Han back a little bit to keep him a little bit more protected, and attempted to kill the Krykna. He just needed to do 3 damage, which actually was a tall ask. I would have had to roll max to do that. Ended up doing just 1.
Go with Iden, unstun Iden. Actually, wait, why is Han farther forward?
Maybe... I think it might have just been that I... that I had to push him forward. Maybe I didn't push him... No, because I couldn't actually see him there. Hold on, I'm going to back...
You pushed him forward because you wanted the end of round shot, I believe.
Right. Yes. So I pushed him forward. So he started further back. I pushed him forward to there so that I can get the end of round shot.
Yep, I go with Dio to try and get the stun. Unfortunately, don't get it.
Yeah. Cunning. MHD goes up and attempts to attack the Krykna, and again only does 1 damage. That sucks. So that is the 3rd attack on that Krykna, and still haven't killed it yet. Very frustrating. Ended up being the end of the round, Krykna's move, and right now I'm taking some damage on a bunch of my figures. And again, Joey's going to put 1 in my deployment zone, and I'm not going to put 1 in his for the same reasons as before. And Han went to take his end of round shot at the Death Trooper. Did some more damage there.
4 damage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Initiative passes to me. And I went with Han right away. And I think, so I played Hour of Need to get some healing, which is round 3 at this point. So I could recover 3. And then I shot at Dio. And the reason I shot at Dio is because I had Celebration in hand. And he was the only unique figure that I could shoot. And what I should have done is attacked the Death Trooper. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do it, but I should have attacked the Death Trooper, and that was a huge mistake, as you can see, because Dio actually rolls a white dice and dodges the attack.
Yep. Now, it was at this point that I was just contemplating I should just move everyone back towards my deployment zone because I'm winning on all points right now. So if I were to just turtle back in my base, I would force Morgan to come forward, which his list doesn't really want to do at this point. But I can't play that way. I have to go forward. I have to get kills.
Yeah, we ended up playing a more fun game as a result. But yeah, turtling probably would have been the better strategy here. But definitely not the most fun strategy.
Definitely not. So here, I believe I'm shooting at Han.
Oh, no, it's a Krykna.
No?
It's that green Krykna. You ended up doing 4 damage to it.
That's right, it is the Krykna. Why didn't I shoot at Han? Right, because I didn't want to be return fired murdered.
Right.
Although in hindsight, I probably should have done that.
And then
Chopper attempting to get the kill and recover on the Krykna, but ultimately just getting the kill and not getting the recover.
And shocking Krennic as well for 3 damage. So spreading lots of damage around, leaving a lot of your figures almost dead.
In the classic Imperial doctrine of leave everyone alive with 1 health.
So here's again your officer.
Yup.
Moving that E-Web forward. You did a really good job at body blocking with your E-Web.
Well, they are decently sturdy with that innate block. And if you throw block tokens on them, which I believe I started doing, that definitely gives them a better chance to survive and get the recover off. Was this Gideon the Gunman again? I think this was Gideon the Gunman.
This was Gideon giving a focus out to Cassian. I believe I had Marksman at this point. But I'm not certain. I think what I'd wanted to do is run up and hopefully take Iden out. But I also didn't want to get killed by everything in response. So I was trying to wait you out a little bit. So using those soft pass activations so that I could act last with Cassian.
Yeah, I'm going with my Death Trooper to try and get in position to push into his basically now defenseless. Very few defensive cards left, so I went to go push in to try and push the end of round swing advantage.
And then Hera comes
we're
up.
just jockeying for position at this point.
Hera did some damage to the Krykna, trying to, again, one short story of this game.
I went with the E-Web to get some line of sight blocking so I could set it up so that I could shoot Han without getting return fired with where the Dio corner is.
Right. And then Cassian came and decided to shoot with a really good shot against that E-Web. Ended up doing 5 damage, getting some more tokens. I will say, once you give Cassian a focus, it's really hard for him to not have those damage tokens. It's like you almost always have a surge or two to add those tokens back on. So pretty good shooter. And then, is it Dio going next?
Yeah, so it's Iden, and I went with Dio first, and I went to go kill the Krykna. Unable to kill the Krykna. In hindsight, I probably should have shot Han to try to stun him.
Stunning Han's pretty
good. And then
good.
here with Iden, I was shooting Han, yeah.
And with a blank result on the dice, ended up doing 8 damage. Oh, and then that's right. So I could return fire because I played Marksman. So even though
all of my careful planning ruined.
That's right. So even though I didn't have line of sight, Marksman allowed me to still shoot you. Which, for anybody who wants to play Han or Jin, they really benefit from Marksman to get around those body blocking shenanigans against high level players like Joey. And here's the celebration comes down.
Oh man, I remember this moment. I remember because I have negation and I waffled on playing it so hard because it's like, you almost certainly have take initiative and I need that E-Web to get shots off.
Oop. Yeah, so ended up deciding that the 4 victory points, not as important as being able to get that E-Web activation first to stop me from taking initiative.
Oh man, yeah, all my people are so low at this point.
So
let's.
Oh, and the Krykna ended up doing a lot of work there, actually blocking line of sight for your E-Web.
No, the E-Web still had line of sight.
Blocking line of sight to your E-Web from Han.
Oh, yes.
For Han's end of round shot. Or did it? Oh, maybe not.
You shot the Krykna, I believe. Or was it Dio?
Yeah, I shot it.
You shot the Krykna. Yep, and then here comes the the negation on the take initiative because that E-Web wants to do some shooting.
Absolutely.
And of course, we have some fun card back and forth on this engagement. I ended up going with the Death Trooper first to give a token to the E-Web. and then just fall back to conserve points, because this was the last round. We had determined this was going on like an hour and 20 minutes, and we decided in round 2 that it was going to be a 4-round game. So this is the last round. And here's the Han dodge. So I'm going to throw out the wonderful heavy weapons card that is lock on, which is like, you don't get a total block. So I get the recover off, but there's Miracle Worker.
So keeps him alive and actually gets to recover one. Which Joey thought, okay, it's fine. I get a second shot, but not before Han gets to return fire.
Yep. And I was like, okay, come on, block token. I believe in you. But then the defensive roll was not enough to overcome the massive damage of Han.
And I think I had
tons of damage.
Use Hera's ability to just ensure the kill, to add a block.
Yep, then I get the strength of numbers off so that I can make sure that I kill that no-good smuggler. And I think I go with BT here. Yep. The pain bow. Always throw the pain bow.
Absolutely. And another heartbreaking blank. Can't dodge them all, unfortunately.
Then I bring out my own copy of Celebration, making Han a nice 14-point figure.
And we're at 29 to 27 for Joey. So we're in a very close game. And I went with Cassian and played Harder Freedom to give me the extra movement points so that I could finish BT off.
Which you do easily, but I think that Surge Block prevented you from getting more tokens that you wouldn't be able to use anyway.
It's true. So now it's 32 to 29.
So I need to kill Cassian, and I kept going back and forth. Do I do Death Trooper into Krennic? And in hindsight, I ended up going Krennic into the Death Trooper, which was a terrible decision. I needed to get both shots into Cassian when I could, because body blocking is a thing. I should know that. I used it a lot.
And I wanted to make sure that Cassian stayed in front of Hera, at least to take... I figured it was more likely that Joey could do 7 damage into Hera's black dice than 9 damage into Cassian's white dice. So I left Cassian there so that you didn't just get to kill Hera who hadn't activated yet.
Cassian only has 10 health, right?
Oh, I guess 8. On the white right, die? Yeah. 10 health. Yeah. It was going to be close, but at least I had a chance of dodging. And Cassian had already gone, right? So if you killed Hera, hadn't activated yet, there's nothing she could have been able to do, right?
That is true.
And Krennic ended up doing 4 damage, meaning the Death Trooper had to do 4 as well. Why did you go just Krennic instead of the Death Trooper?
Because I wanted to get the damage token on the Death Trooper, which I could then double with Krennic's ability. If I went Death Trooper into Krennic, I don't get the doubled token.
Right. Much more difficult to get the kill. But I was able to body block with MHD, and I believe he healed himself, so that now you had to deal 7 damage with the Death Trooper, which wasn't likely happening even with the token.
So then I go back, I give the officer a token so that maybe he'll be able to get the final shot in, but Death Trooper ends up whiffing on his red dice, and for some reason I gave the Death Trooper a surge token because I was going to be shooting at white dice Cassian, and the surges on the Death Trooper are useful, but ultimately not enough.
And then I ended up. Oh, you ended up whiffing on accuracy, right? So even though that roll would have killed MHD, um,
No, the roll. No, I made accuracy. I just didn't have enough damage because I rolled 4 Pierce 1. Oh wait, on the officer
yeah, the
shot.
officer
Yeah,
shot.
that whiffed on
Yeah.
accuracy.
So then Chopper bumped MHD um, sideways to try to make it so that he couldn't get double hit with the Krykna. And then Hera went up. I think you were out of activations at this point, and Hera went up and rolled super high against your Death Trooper.
Yep, and at that point, I believe we called it because there was no way for me to win with you moving people around with Gideon.
Right. So, silly map.
Yeah, it was a very tight game.
Very tight game. A game that ended up being a lot more fun because we both stayed in it and attacked. Kept attacking, moving forward, pressing that W key.
Yes. It was much more enjoyable. I do think that tactically the more sound idea would have been to fall back, but I find that to be boring, and so I moved forward and had fun.
For sure. So any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
Marksman is a great card with Jin and Han, 100%. I was not expecting that the first time we played each other, and I had to keep that in the back of my mind the entire game.
Yeah, indeed, right? And I guess my thought is having the Death Troopers being able to field tactics into the E-Webs after giving them tokens that they can then double with Krennic and then recover the damages taken was some really great synergy that I wasn't counting on or expecting.
I've thought about replacing an upgrade with what's that trooper card? The one where when you shoot, you get to exhaust and weaken the opponent and move 2 spaces, or move an ally 2 spaces.
Suppressive fire.
Because if I were to put suppressive fire, if you do that, because then you can push the E-Web and then immediately go with that E-Web.
Oh yeah, that's great stuff.
It's tempting to do. But looking at your unit, Cassian, I honestly, for the most part, discounted when I saw him. The low health mixed with the... I don't know what it was about him that I just didn't like, but you disabused me of my poor thoughts.
Yeah, I think he's flies a little under the radar because his dice pool isn't super, like on paper isn't great. If you're assuming that he has damage tokens all game, which he essentially does, unless you
should.
Yeah, he should. If you're playing him correctly and he's rolling at least 1 or 2 surges, then that double blue plus a green, potentially focused with a +1 actually does some decent damage. And I think he's so good with the smuggler box list because that extra movement and tokens that he can give those very few shooters that are in this list are just like a godsend because it lets me be a lot more aggressive with turn 1 with the initial engagement, allowing me to get an initial sort of attrition that lets the smuggler box really do work.
Yep. But yeah, other than that, I don't really have much to say. It was a well fought game. I think on different maps it could have been a little different, where line of sight's easier to acquire or sneak around.
Yeah, I mean, the map certainly neither of us loved it, and I don't think any of us will be sad to see it go when it eventually rotates out. But had a lot of fun this tournament and a really fun time, really fun game, in this finals match.
It was fantastic, the whole tournament. Everyone was great. Saw some really fun lists. It was a good time.
All right. Thank you very much, Joey. And I'll see you, I guess it's tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for another tournament.
Woo woo.